Hello and welcome everyone to WyzGyz Entertainment. This is your host Wyman. We have a very special guest today. We have Nathan Rosario, creator of Stump #1, comic book on Indiegogo. Welcome to the show, Nathan.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. And excuse me. So, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into creating your own crowdfunded comic?
Yeah. Originally, I created Stump back in around 1993, back when I was in the Army and stuff. And I was actually, I don't know if you remember the old Image days. In those first few issues of the Savage Dragon comic, they were running a ultimate character creation contest where you design your own character, you send it in, and whichever one Eric Larson liked best, he would have fight the Savage Dragon. I was originally designed Stump for that, but then I was stationed in Germany at the time, and I didn't think my submission would make the deadline. And I was like, well, I kind of like this character, so maybe I'll just do something myself with him. So I just started coming up with stories for him, and kind of the like every once in a while, I'll just write some stories or throw something together. And then probably around 2012, I really started getting serious about putting a comic together and everything. So, but before that, I was just in the military or going to college or just working in general. So the comic book thing just kind of got put off to the side. But pretty much Stump just always was always there. It was always a character I wanted to do something with. So
Since
I self-published a book in 2000. What's that? Yeah, since '93, and the guy actually got published in 2013. So it was about 20 years. And the story in the book with the robot, I actually wrote that while I was deployed to Bosnia. And
oh wow!
It was just, I don't know where it came from. I think I was just thinking about the robots in an old Fantastic Four comic, and I was like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to come up with a robot like that. So I designed them, and it was like overnight I was sitting on Radio Watch, so I was just drawing to pass the time. So I just came up with the robot. I named the robot back then just BFR, which just meant big effing robot.
Oh, okay.
A few years later, I came up with the name Blinker. So yeah, but yeah, it was. And I think I wrote the story while I was still in Bosnia with the whole, which is basically the main plot for the first issue and stuff. And I think most of the time I just spent like writing stories and just designing stuff. So.
Oh wow! All right. So did you ever get? Did you ever enter that contest, or did you just assume that you didn't?
No, I
make it by the deadline.
No, yeah, I never actually sent any submission in. It was about because like I said, I was in Germany and we got all the comic books late. So by the time I found out about the contest, it was like maybe a month or two away from the deadline. So I was like, well, I got 3 weeks, and to hope that this submission makes it from Germany back to the U.S. And I just like, I'm not going to bother. So like I said, I just realized I kind of liked the character enough to just kind of do my own thing with him. So. And then I don't know if you ever saw what character actually won that contest. But it was some kind of weird, like lobster. Yeah, it was like some kind of weird lobster character or something. So, and I was like, yeah, so probably for the best, I just kept my own. Yeah.
Do you think
so that was?
Do you think the winner was justified? Do you think it was a good-looking character?
I don't think he should. Yeah, he showed up in that one issue, and he was just a really vulgar talking lobster, and I never saw him again after that. So I'm not sure whatever happened. Maybe the guy just sent it in as a joke. So, but yeah, it was and I doubt. Looking back at my original ideas for Stump, I doubt he would have. He probably wouldn't have won because I had some really wacky things going on with Stump in that first design. So, because now he's short. He's about somewhere in the range of 5'2" to 5'4", which is where I have him in the comic now. But in the first version, he was like really short. He was like 3'6", so he was more of a dwarf than anything else.
That is shorter.
Yeah, and I think little by little, and I think after I started kind of reimagining the character, eventually he became like a member of the military, kind of to kind of write some of my own experiences into some of the story or whatever. And so then he kind of had to get a little bit taller for that, because it's there was a point in time I was writing him as some guy who was in the U.S. Army and then got superpowers, but then in the story for the comic book, it's completely different. He's not actually from Earth initially, so I just don't want to give too much of the story away.
Oh, right, of course, yeah.
But, yeah. So
and
so it's kind of a. Wait, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say when
I didn't.
Going back in time a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, when you were growing up, did you actually collect comic books?
Yeah, I started collecting in 8th grade, actually. So and I started with the classic X-Men reprints. So it was like that, some of that really early Chris Claremont stuff, and that was what really got me into it. Then it's moved on from there. I started collecting like Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and all that, and I think right around my senior year is when I started putting out the Marvel Masterworks reprint, where they reprinted the original stuff from the '60s, and I bought those, and it was basically like no going back. That's like kind of what I focused most of my attention on. It's like all the Silver Age stuff. So, and that's kind of what I kind of want the Stump book to kind of be a bit of a throwback to the Silver Age style, with a little bit of modern storytelling in there as well, and just some weird kind of wackiness in there too. That's hopefully unexpected or just fun to read. So,
okay.
And kind of since Image kind of inspired me to kind of strike out on my own and make my own character, since I'm taking a little bit of inspiration from those, kind of that more action oriented story with just lots of different stuff going on, and not necessarily light on story, but something where there's plenty of action scenes and plenty of stuff going on with it. So, and that's actually the biggest change I'm making for this reprint from the first print, is I'm taking out a lot of the exposition, and what some of my criticism was like there's just big blocks of just background information and world building, and it's just some people were like, well, that's just too much to read. I just skipped over it. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just try to replace some put some monster in there or something and create some new action scene to kind of fill that space. And I'll keep Stump's origin the same for the most part, but I just will kind of reveal it in more of a show don't tell kind of way, and through you kind of see where he comes from. You're not just having him tell you where he comes from. So
that's
kind of the biggest thing.
That's
kind of the biggest change between the two versions. So
comic books being a visual medium, whenever possible, you want to show not tell, because otherwise you'll end up with lots and lots of dialogue to read, and boxes and boxes of speech bubbles and stuff.
And it was, there were parts of it that were looking more like a novel than a comic book, and I think it was just because I figured I'd only be able to afford to get one book printed, and so I just wanted to cram as much as I possibly could into that one book. But now, and that was before I even thought about crowdfunding or even knew what crowdfunding was. So I actually just saved up my money and just paid for the printing of the first printing of the book. And I think after I paid the printer for that, I had like 14 cents to my name after I sent the check off to the printer. So I just got to hope I got to go do some work and try to earn some money, and then hopefully I could sell enough of these books to at least make my money back. So eventually I did, but I still had a few copies left over.
I don't know if you can share, but how much did you end up putting into the first campaign that you saved up?
As far as the first printing of the book, it was only 225 copies, and it was black and white, and it was about somewhere around $500-600.
So was this through?
It was a.
So you actually used a distributor, or? or did you like sell
No, I just
comic shop?
sent it up. They printed them, they shipped them all to me, and then I just kind of went around and like friends and family wanted to buy copies, or there was a local bookstore. She bought a few copies for me, and I took them out to a few. Well, the nearest comic book store when I was living out there was about 60 miles away, but I drove up to those comic book stores and saw if they wanted to put some in their stores. And one of them did. He bought like 10 copies and put it in the store and
Oh,
stuff. So it was yeah. So it was kind of, and I would post stuff online, and people would buy them through like my DeviantArt or Tumblr page and stuff like that. So,
so
and then like I said, I still ended up with about. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead and
Yeah.
finish your sentence.
Oh, okay.
You
I
ended
said
up
at the end of it all, yeah, at the end of it all had about 60, 65 copies left over, and that's what I put on that tier on the campaign. I put one where people could buy. I put 40 up for sale where people could buy, but I wanted to hold a few back in reserve just in case anything gets damaged or lost in the mail. I can replace a few of them and stuff. Not, but hopefully, and those all sold out of the campaign now. So, and then once fulfillment's done, then I'll see how many copies of that original printing I have left, which it'll probably just be a handful, I'm sure.
So for this campaign, is it? Did you basically take the original book and fine tune it? Take out some of the dialogue that the explanatory stuff, replace it with more imagery, and then put everything in color? Or is this like?
Yeah, that's kind of it's basically about 2015 I started devoting myself to getting the whole book colorized and done. And so now I'm going through, still have all the files on my computer, so I'm just going through and tweaking those files, and I actually changed to a different font that's a little larger, and I think it's easier to read. So of course, because of that, I have to rewrite the entire script and resize all the word balloons and stuff. And so and then I'm adding, the original was 28 pages. This new one is currently, last count, I was at 42 pages, I believe. So I know they have to be in increments of 4, so it'll probably be at least, I got to add 2 more pages, so it'll be at least 44 pages, maybe as high as 48 pages. So I'll see what I get done for it.
Oh, okay.
But like fulfillment is like my number one priority for this campaign, because I figure, if I'm kind of an unknown artist, if I fail to fulfill my first campaign, that's pretty much it. I'm done. So so basically fulfillment for this one is that's what I'm going to focus mainly on. Even if I have to start dipping into my credit card to get it done, I'll make sure I get that and everything delivered on time. So, but I gave myself till January of next year. So, and I think I've got enough of the book done that I think I should be almost entirely done by the time the campaign ends at the end of this month.
Oh, wow.
With
Welcome,
just a little bit of tweaking here and there.
Welcome, Pop Culture Minefield. Glad to have you here. I don't know if you're still here.
Yeah.
All right. So most everything is done. You basically have some cleanup. You've already got the majority of the pages done, sketched, inked, and colored. And you just have a few more that need to be colored.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's very quick.
I've got about 3 pages of a flashback sequence that I did just finished about 2 days ago, and I got those in the computer. I'm starting to ink those already, and then I'm just there's one scene in the book where it's just basically people standing around in a hospital talking, and I'm trying to rework that one into something a little bit more, at least visually, more visually exciting, even if there's not necessarily any action going on. So
right.
So other than that, it's like I said, just trying my best just to make the book a little just as fun to read as possible, I guess.
Did your friends and family who you sold it to, or even the small local comic book shops in your area, provide you a lot of valuable feedback on, what they liked, what they didn't like, what could have been improved.
I think the other than the, like I said, people talking about the big blocks of text, for the most part, friends and family just said what kind of what you would expect. It's like, oh, this is great, and that's pretty much all I heard from them. But the when I started selling it to people online and they started telling me about it, and like I said, that's when I started getting the more kind of constructive feedback and everything. Because if you sell a comic book to your mom, or if you give your comic book to your mom, she's going to tell you that it's just the greatest thing ever made. So
Yeah.
she's not going to go, well, I think this little part can be tweaked a little bit, but yeah. So I said I have gotten a little bit, and it was mostly all around the same stuff. It's like there's just too many info dumps that just kind of drag the story down, and that's what I'm working on fixing. Probably that's the number one thing I'm working on fixing, and I want to design a new cover for it because, well, I'm not sure if I don't have the original cover image up anywhere, but there were some people who just didn't like the cover that much or the logo, so I'm working on a new design for that.
Oh, okay.
I actually want to get that. Yeah, I should. I've got like 3 or 4 different versions of the cover I'm working on now, and I'm just trying to decide which one I like best.
So the cover wasn't by chance anything like this one, was it? With the robot flying with him in his hand?
No, it was just kind of a it was a picture of Stump just kind of on the cover within like a fighter pose, and it
Oh.
was well the yeah when I was living in Illinois, I was working for the main reason I moved to Illinois. I started working for the UFC fighter Matt Hughes, and so a lot of Stump's look is kind of based on Matt Hughes. And so I just kind of thought, well, that's kind of cool. I'll just put him in like a UFC fighter pose on the cover.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I haven't exactly abandoned that idea. I'm just trying to come up with something that's still fun to look at and just is a little bit more professional looking than the original cover. And I kind of want to do that Image Comics thing where the cover of the first issue was just like the introduction to the character. And where like the cover of Spawn #1 was just like a pinup of Spawn on the cover, and the same with like Savage Dragon and stuff like that. And I just kind of want that. I like that idea where the cover of the first issue should just be everybody's intro to the character and it shouldn't necessarily be anything story related. But I've been listening to a few different people with some other ideas, and I'll just eventually see what works best.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm of the camp who prefers that every image tell a story, and if you can have some sort of like action scene or something, you know how they used to do it on Marvel and DC, where you got something going on. I mean, the problem with the way DC and Marvel used to do it is so often you'd have a scene in there that was like kind of like clickbait, except with comic books, and you never saw any kind of fight scene like what you saw on the cover, and it's like, what? I was expecting such and such, and I got something else. But
yeah, and that's kind of just because they just cover just there to get you to buy the book, and I think I understand. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but
and you're.
I was just going to add that if you're doing something with a pose, then it's got to be a really good pose, and like maybe have some sort of motion to it. So something that's dynamic. Because if you just have a pose, then it looks kind of boring. But I guess it really
and that's kind of the.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, it's okay. Yeah, I'm just saying I've kind of been working on trying to just spruce up the existing idea, but I'm trying to come up with also other ideas, something that's more maybe get an action sequence from the book and just reimagine that from a different angle or something. And somebody did bring up they wanted the picture of like the robot with Stump flying through the air, and I was like, well, that's kind of an idea, but in a way it kind of gives away a big plot point in the story, which is
all right.
Maybe it seems Yeah, it maybe seems counterintuitive because I put it right there on the, up front on the campaign itself.
Yeah, that was the other.
Yeah.
That was my next question.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just kind of, if I put the blinker on the cover, it'll have to be in some way that's kind of ambiguous as to how they're, and Blinker's motivations in the story are going to be a bit ambiguous because he's kind of a tragic story, and he's not exactly fond of the human race after what he's been through. So he'd be fine with if somebody came and took over and just wiped out everybody on Earth, and it was like that wouldn't bother him one bit. But Stump kind of plays against that because he kind of almost adopts the human race in a way. So, and they're kind of be, I don't know, kind of like Calvin and Hobbes, I guess. So one doesn't mind if people die, yeah, and the other one is like, yeah, I kind of want to save people. So you know,
That's interesting.
and I think and basically, if Stump never showed up, Blinker was very much going to be on his way to becoming a supervillain. So that's kind of like my general idea for it.
Okay, all right. Now, so you basically do everything on this book, right? You do the sketching, the inks, the colors, the lettering,
Yeah.
everything, and
Yep.
including fulfillment.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty much doing the whole thing for this first campaign. I'm just gonna, like I said, since the book's mostly done, I'm just gonna keep working on it, and then for the second one, if it goes well, I guess I'll see about, if possible, if somebody is willing to help, I might have maybe some help with some other ideas and stuff. But for right now, it's just like I said, I've already got most of the book done, so I might as well just continue to finish it.
Cool. So
so it'll be. Go ahead.
It'll be what?
Oh, it'll just be 100%, like everything, including like lettering, and I'm actually going through and redrawing all the sound effects because I don't want to have to worry about finding out that I might have used a copyrighted font somewhere. So I'm actually just hand drawing all the sound effects and stuff into the book. So yeah.
What can you actually copyright sound effects? And the way
No, it's the fonts themselves. I downloaded a bunch of fonts and I was just kind of using them without really thinking about it. And I was like, well, there's a chance that some of these fonts might be copyrighted. So
right.
So I was just like, well, I'll just use them as a template, and I'll just redraw the sound effect directly over it and change it just enough. So that would be kind of its own thing. Yeah, and then I'll just delete the font underneath it.
Yeah. So is all of your work traditional, or is it digital, or do you have a mix of both?
The book is, I basically draw everything in pencil on paper, and then I scan that into the computer and I ink it all digitally and then color it all digitally.
Oh wow!
So and I've ruined so many drawings trying to. I'm not that good of an inker, and I think I do better with the digital inking. But I like having the initial drawing be actual pencil on paper because I just, it feels too unnatural just trying to draw directly on a computer screen. So I like having the actual tactile feel of being able to draw on a piece of paper.
Yeah,
I think it's the pencils I scan in. They're in different levels of development. Some are really finished, and some are just kind of just rough sketches that I kind of throw in. Like if I put a panel in, I was like, well, I don't like that panel. I want to redraw it, and I'll just take another sheet of paper, draw something else I like, scan that, and just Photoshop that in, and then ink it there. So, so some of the pages in the book were basically just assembled panel by panel from different drawings, and they weren't actually drawn out like a whole traditional comic page. But I'm actually trying to go back to doing that the more old-fashioned way, and I think it's just because it's, if nothing else, it gives me original art that I can put up too to help fund these books and everything.
Yeah, original art's really popular, from what I've seen in ComicsGate projects. When, on your pencils, are you drawing with like the the certain shade of light blue, or are you doing it with red and then using a program like Photoshop to knock out the outline of the sketches once you've gotten the colors down?
I just do with a regular mechanical pencil, just a .7 lead, and it's just like the traditional graphite.
Oh, all right.
And so I should have some of the yeah, on the campaign page. There's some of the original art tiers that I put on there. You can see the pencils on there, but and like I said, you just scan it into Photoshop. You just put a new layer over it. You ink directly over it. And sometimes I'll actually leave the pencils in if they're developed enough. Just kind of leave them under the inks, and I just kind of like it. It gives an extra bit of depth to the drawing.
Uh-huh.
So,
Gotcha.
but for the most part, if the pencils aren't that well defined, then I'll just hide that layer after I've inked it, and it'll just be the ink straight on the paper.
Oh, okay. Pop Culture Minefield says, I get the doing everything yourself. I did several books for publishers like IDW and found it a pain in the ass to work with others. So I do all my art, color, lettering now. Well, except for the next book, Isolation, which DC artist Richard Bonk is doing the art, and I wrote and am doing the lettering. I think it's better to do it the way Nathan is doing it.
Yeah, and I've actually tried working with people in the past, but I gave a bunch of pencil drawings to a guy. He said because he wanted to practice inking, so I was like, yeah, I'll let somebody else ink my work because I think they might be better at it. But he just basically took all my drawings, redrew them completely, and then signed his name to it and just said they were his drawings. So I
What?
was like, okay, I'm not giving you any more drawings, I guess. Yeah. So this was back around like 94, 95.
Oh my
Like
God.
the first guy I tried to work with just basically took my drawings and then tried to take credit for them. So that kind of, I guess that soured me a bit on working with other people.
Oh my gosh,
Like I
yeah.
said, I've never actually, I've never actually ruled it out. So
You ever think about, did
I'm just a little
you,
more careful about who I
you end up taking legal action
go ahead.
against them?
No, they were just drawings I had in a sketchbook that I gave to him, and like I said, it was like 2 or 3 drawings, and I didn't realize what he had done until I went into the comic book shop because I said redrew him, put his name on him, and he took him to the comic book shop. They hung him up on the wall, and they was like, "Hey, yeah, look at this cool drawing that this guy did." I was like, "Oh yeah, that looks kind of familiar, but okay." So it wasn't like they were just sketches out of a sketchbook. So
Oh my
I
God.
just knew not to trust him with any more of my drawings. So
Oh man,
and
that's
I've worked with other people in the past, but mostly it's like I said, I was amateur, and I started working with other amateurs, and so it was generally not happy with the work they were doing, or I don't know. I thought like when they inked some of my work, sometimes I felt like they just kind of ruined it in a way. So, and that's
yeah.
like I said, maybe I'm just too picky. So,
I'm sure it also just takes some time to find someone you really jive with who gets
yeah,
your vision and can
yeah, and that's kind of
handle it respectfully.
and kind of find that because you get those creative teams that just kind of gel together perfectly, and they just kind of the work kind of becomes like greater than the sum of its parts. And I think like right away the Chris Claremont, John Byrne X-Men was just kind of like transcended almost anything that was printed on the page. It became something completely unique and stuff. And then the Neil Adams work on the original X-Men and Roy Thomas, Neil Adams' original X-Men. That's just like I said. I'm still here.
Yeah. First,
did you lose connection?
There was just a moment of silence, so I was afraid you dropped.
Okay.
It was a mic issue.
No.
Pop Culture Minefield.
I think my phone's about to die.
Do you want to take a moment and plug in the charger?
Yeah, hold on.
All right.
Good.
While you're doing that, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah. Pop Culture Minefield says Graham Nolan says this as well. You have to be super careful with who you work with. Yeah. I mean, I imagine that creators nowadays have to go through the effort of coming up with like a written contract and include some kind of NDA, non-disclosure agreement. So you have some kind
Yeah.
of assurance that they're not going to steal your ideas and make it their
Mhm.
own, something like that. And you know, there is
Yeah,
also the
that's.
level of trust.
Hmm. Yeah, and with the internet too, it's easier for if you put stuff out there on the internet, people can take it, and you don't even necessarily know that they've taken it until. But I've had people contact me through like DeviantArt or Tumblr, and they say, "Hey, I saw your artwork, but I saw it in this other location. Somebody was using it. Some that would use a drawing I did for an ad for something, and not give any credit or anything like that for it."
Oh
And I think
man.
that's just the general danger about putting stuff on the internet. Yeah. And I kind of was at the since I was just doing fan art for a while there, where I was just drawing X-Men characters, and I decided, well, if I'm putting it online, then I'm basically giving it away, so I'm not really expecting anything out of it because it's so easy for people to steal stuff.
It is, but you can also make the effort of creating a watermark so it protects it digitally.
Hmm.
And you can also indicate, you know,
Yeah.
C for copyright symbol with your name and
Hmm.
your signature or what have you. Pop Culture Minefield says, tell Nathan I like his work. He'll be sharing your campaign on his page.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And
I like the work here.
no, thanks.
Does
Yeah,
it
let's see. Go ahead.
take you long to write a script?
It depends. Sometimes it does. Sometimes, like I said, I wrote that story when I was in Bosnia for the main story for the robot, and I was just bored doing radio watch one night, so I just kind of found a steno pad and I started drawing, like split every page up into four segments, and I just started like laying out a comic book. And I just started from when Stump and the robot met, and then I just started kind of stream of consciousness, drawing out or sketching out every page and figuring out the dialogue. And the story just went in a completely different direction than I was expecting it to go.
Huh.
And so I just kind of held on to that steno pad, and I was planning to. I think when I got back from Bosnia, I started drawing out the comic, and I had plans to do all that. This was about '97, yeah, about May of '97 when I got back to the States, and I was actually making some fairly good progress for a bit, but I was just basically drawing stuff with no real idea of how I was ever going to publish any of it. And then the movie Iron Giant came out, and I
Oh
was
yeah,
just like,
that's
oh
a cool
crap!
one.
It's like yeah, it's like I can't use my robot character anymore because he looks too much like Iron Giant. So,
No.
but it's a few years past, and so I redesigned the robot a bit, and uh, and he never looked that much, just in the face maybe like the jawline and all that, but the it was I said I redesigned the robot around 2004, 2005. I actually was taking 3D animation classes, and I created a 3D model of him, and I think that's where I kind of came up with a more unique kind of cartoonish design for him, and that's what I ended up sticking with for the comic. But I figured enough years had passed, and of course, when Ethan Van Sciver reviewed the pages on his channel, the first thing he said was, "This looks like Iron Giant." So I was like, I guess I'm never going to escape that, but I might as well not even worry about it anymore. So
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those comparisons that's going to happen. I mean, it's
yeah,
probably one of the first things that came to my mind as well, because
yeah.
everyone, a lot of people dug that movie. Hey, would you be
Yeah.
at all interested in having the company of Pop Culture Minefield on here as
Yeah,
another
that's fine.
panelist?
Okay.
Let's see here. Oh, where do you go? I'm going to do it this way. You know what? I could have done it another way too. Oh well.
I'm gonna turn a fan on because it's getting really hot in here. But if it gets
All right.
too loud, can you just let me know?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Try to sit far away from it a bit. Yeah, it's still like about 90 degrees in here right at the moment.
90 indoors?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it stays hot for a bit. It'll cool down. It'll start cooling down probably around midnight or so, and then it stays cool kind of through the morning, and then once the sun kind of comes up around just before noon, when the temperature starts rising, and then right around between 4 to 6 p.m. it's just blazing. So
I can hear your fan, but
if it gets too loud, just let me know.
I can hear it, but you're good. I can still hear you.
Okay. Alrighty.
Let's see. Pop Culture, I shared with you the link. So hop on in. Yeah, so yeah, tell me more about what your experience was, or what it was like to have your piece selected for EVS's brutally honest portfolio reviews.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome because it was like I mentioned before, I wasn't getting a huge amount of like really good constructive criticism for the book, and I kind of sent that to him when he was asking for submissions, and I expected him just to tear it apart, and I was really surprised that he liked it all so much, and that he made the criticism that he made, I think, where I realized were legitimately stuff that I either didn't notice or just did notice and thought that I could still get away with it. Like he caught me faking my 1 point perspective and stuff. So I took that panel out. I'm redrawing that whole panel just so it's and trying to get a more correct perspective on it. And that was pretty awesome. And actually, my brother was in Afghanistan at the time, and I didn't even know he watched EVS's channel. But he actually contacted me saying, "Hey, I saw EVS was reviewing your comic book," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So yeah, I think he was watching it on the computers over there, and he was pretty happy about that.
How many pages do you actually
So
share
that's
with
when I found out my brother listened to EVS as well.
how many pages do you actually share with EVS?
You said how old are the pages?
How many pages do you share with EVS for the portfolio review?
I sent him 5 pages.
Oh, all right. Cool.
Yeah, he reviewed 5 pages of the book. Yeah, and I made sure to put 3 of them on the campaign so people who saw that review would recognize them from the basically, because I knew people would be mentioning that review in conjunction with the campaign. So I was like, well, I want to have the pages that EVS actually reviewed on the campaign, and plus it's stuff that people have already seen, so I'm not giving too much of the story away that hasn't already been given away. But yeah, he went through about 5 of them.
Oh, wow.
I was planning to send him more, but I think I started working on another story idea. I was doing a fantasy themed story. I got about 11 pages into it, and then I was this is back when I was working at Walmart. I got a promotion at Walmart, and they sent me off to some academy for 2 weeks, and I just totally killed my momentum on that story. And I might go back and work on that a little bit more. It was just kind of like a Lord of the Rings style story, which is like straight fantasy stuff. So maybe after I'm done with the few issues of Stump, I might go back and try to develop that some more.
Oh, okay. We got Pop Culture Minefield on. I'm sorry, refresh my memory. Is it Gary or Jerry?
It's Joseph. Where did you get Gary from?
Joseph?
Yeah, it's Gary.
I'm getting
All right.
everybody's really choppy up on my end.
uh, uh, what was that, Nathan? Can you hear him okay?
Maybe I should.
I'm saying it's getting a little broken up over here on my end.
Oh, so
Okay.
let me see.
Stop my camera. Maybe that'll make it better.
Is that any better, Nathan? Oops.
Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay. If it gets too bad, then I might have to drop Gary because of your bandwidth being.
Yeah, I try not to stick around too long anyway. I just wanted to pop in and say hi and say good job on this, Nathan. That's really good stuff.
I think with the bandwidth, there's some sort of
I'm
delay.
not hearing much right now on this end.
Oh, can you repeat yourself, Gary?
Yeah, I was just telling him that I really liked what he did. That's good stuff.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you bet. He's got a delay.
Yeah,
That time, so.
yeah, that is a delay. That's like what, 15, 20 seconds.
It reminds me of in the military with the internet that we had when we were deployed.
Oh, I remember the internet when I was in Korea. That was miserable.
Oh yeah.
You would try logging on, and maybe back to the old dial-up connection. That was maybe 12K.
Oh,
So you would
Yeah, it's
start
just
logging
basically
in, you go to bed, and maybe
Yeah.
hope that you had a connection by the time you woke up. So.
oh, shit.
third world internet, man. Third world internet. That's all I got to say.
Oh yeah.
So how long did it take you to write this?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of on that kind of the main part of the blinker story. I kind of just wrote that overnight, and I just kind of was developing it little by little. And the part that really took me the longest was just settling on an origin story for Stump, because I had come up with so many different versions of the characters over the 20 years since I had first developed him, that I probably had almost 20 different origins for the character. But then I eventually settled on one that I put in the book, and it's kind of ended up becoming my favorite origin for him after a while, because some of them were derivative of other characters, and it wasn't all that interesting. But this one was something. And then I came up with this one that I put in the book, and then it turned out to be, I thought it was original, but then I found out that there's another character from back in the 60s. They had almost the exact same origin. But I was like, yeah, well, I'm kind of stuck with this one now, so I might as well just stick with it.
Yeah, never
Don't
worry about that.
And Stump's personality is probably the part that surprised me. Yeah. Oh, the originality factor. Yeah, there's not much.
Yeah, it's like there's nothing original under the sun, just an original way of telling it.
No. Yeah, and I was surprised actually when I read the character that just kind of ended up sharing the same origin as Stump. I actually really liked that character. He's one of the original Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool though, the way they did it. It's a slightly different take, same general idea. So it's not, like I said, I didn't really feel the need to try to rewrite Stump yet again. So, and like I said, it's Stump's personality was probably the big thing that didn't really surface in the book until I was like doing the final drafts of the book and stuff. And that's just when I realized that he's on Earth. He knows what his power set is, and he knows basically that he just doesn't have anything to worry about from people, because he knows what our technology is like. And so sometimes he's kind of a smart ass. So, and that's kind of what I think it's kind of fun to kind of put that kind of attitude of it in the story. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at the artwork again right now. It's good
I
stuff.
don't know if you can. Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping I started working on Stump number 2, the second issue, and I've got a few pages of that already laid out. And I started drawing, so I actually started inking those before I decided to just go ahead and get this remastered number 1 campaign started. And so I'm focusing on that, and then I'll go back to finishing up. So I think I have I have the whole second issue already laid out. Well, I have 24 pages of the second issue laid out, and then I'm going to expand that a little more. And then I'll start, once this campaign's in fulfillment, then I'll start go back to drawing number 2, and I'll probably start a campaign for that sometime early next year. Wait for people to start getting their tax returns back.
Right.
Start
Hey,
a campaign around that time.
I just sent you a friend request on Facebook.
Okay.
It shows that we have a mutual friend of Dave Dorman and Thomas Peake.
Is it on? Is it here on Streamlabs or is it on
Facebook.
something different? StreamYard. Okay. Oh, I got it. I might have to. I'm on my computer as well as my phone, so I'm not sure if that's killing my internet a little more or not.
Oh, I guarantee you it is.
Yeah, it is.
I've got a film director friend that comes on our show every once in a while, and we have to shut everything off in his house to get him to be able to be on the show. Yeah,
You send it to the. I'm on my Facebook now. I'm not seeing it.
oh, did I send it to the wrong person?
Wrong, Nathan Rosario.
Share my screen.
I
Liz,
just have
get
it. I know there's another Nathan Rosario out there. He does a lot of fantasy art.
Which one is you? Look on the
I
screen.
usually put the M in my name. I don't have it on my Facebook account. But... What's that?
Which one is you? I look on the screen right now.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Should be. Looks like that second one. It's me and a friend sitting in a deer stand.
Yeah.
I'm the guy with. We both have beards. But
I'm going to cancel request to that other guy.
looks like it's the second one down.
Yep, that one. There we go.
Yeah.
Sent you a friend request.
Oh, okay.
Woohoo!
Okay, I see.
Yeah, that's my avatar is my self-portrait from art.
Oops. Shoot.
You kicked me.
Okay.
See?
That's a little of my pen and ink work.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Ah.
It's getting really choppy right now over here, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if my internet connection's giving out or if it's something. I'm gonna
Who do
close
you
down some of these windows.
who do you get internet through?
Could be. I live in a house with 2 nephews, and one of them likes to download video games or movies all the time, so that could be it too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, oops, hello? Oh, all right. Whoa.
You got really quiet.
Yeah,
I'm still here. It's just everything's really broken up real bad. So.
I'm getting intermittent silence. Hey, Gary.
I'm going to tag you on my page, and then I'm going to head out of here because I don't want to interrupt your interview. I just enjoy stopping in, saying hi.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You know, WyzGyz is new, but I like his show. He had my friend Graham Nolan on last week.
Yeah, Graham's cool.
Did you notice that when he saw Pop Culture Minefield, he immediately said, Gary!
Yeah.
He named our show.
You what?
He gave us our name, Pop Culture Minefield.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Graham
Oh,
did. Yeah, we go back because I started. My first pro job was working for Chuck Dixon.
oh, all right. Nice.
And if you work with Chuck Dixon, become friends with him, it's inevitable you become friends with Graham. So
Nice.
all right. Anyway, I'm going to fuck off, and you guys finish the show, and I will talk to you later, guys. And Nathan, it was really good meeting you, man.
Yeah, good to meet you too.
All right,
Thanks.
ciao, guys.
Take it easy, man. Thanks for coming on.
You bet, buddy.
All right. Hopefully you get some bandwidth reclaimed. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's cleared up a little bit.
So. All right, cool. So, all right. So you've got about, did you say 25 pages or so of the second book already near completion?
Yeah, and it's just mostly just a layout of just kind of, because the way I kind of, my method of writing is I'll just get a piece of paper and I just divide it up to pages, and I just kind of do the stream of consciousness thing and just kind of write and just kind of scribble out rough panel layouts and sometimes dialogue and stuff like that. And that's usually, and I said I got about 24 pages in on the second issue, and I've actually, like I said, I started drawing a few of them out. I have at least 3 that are pretty close to being done. They just need to be colored right now, and I have a few more that I've been working on. And a lot of it also is going back with Ethan Van Sciver gave me a lot of good input when he reviewed the pages from Stump, and I actually sent, when I was working on that fantasy book, I sent a few pages over to Art T. Bear, and he reviewed those, and he gave me kind of taking a lot of what he said into account too, because I noticed a few habits that kind of creep into my work where I do these kind of sequential panels, almost like I'm trying to draw an animation, and just the character.
Right. Yeah.
You just see the character appearing in panel to panel. They're exactly the same size, but it's just the action is different, and it's supposed to kind of indicate the action that they're doing. But and that seems to be more something that's suitable if you're doing like animation. It's not necessarily suitable for a comic book. So I'm trying to go in and kind of, when I see myself doing that, because I just kind of slip into that mode every once in a while, then I'm trying to fix it to where that can just make stuff more dynamic and more comic booky and less anime, less cartoony, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I've got, when both of like I said, yeah, EVS and RT Bear, and like I said, I just got so much good information from them just looking at my work. And
yeah,
RT Bear is probably one of those. He's probably the first inker I ever knew by name. I remember he did there was that small story in Fantastic Four. I remember where it was drawn by Art Adams. It had like Wolverine, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, and the Incredible Hulk taking over for the Fantastic Four for a few issues.
Oh.
So, and I think that, and then he was, of course, he inked over Will's Portaccio and Jim Lee and all that. And I was like right at the time I was in high school, right when all that was going on. So it was like probably the most formative comic book years of my life. So
Nice.
Actually, probably the first inker I actually knew by name, and
okay.
actually specifically followed his work when I saw his name on a book. So, except I always mispronounced his name. I always thought his name was pronounced Thibert.
Oh.
It wasn't until I started watching his live stream and started hearing people say his name that I knew how to actually pronounce it. So.
Right. Yeah, when it came to
that's probably been my favorite part of YouTube. All these creators getting on there and just interacting with people.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I have to agree. Yeah. When I was,
it would have been like a dream come true back in the '90s, but it was a little more.
Yeah, when I was collecting comics, I didn't spend a whole lot of time, keeping track of artists' names and writers' names and letterers and colorists. It was just one of those things where I simply just enjoyed the content, for what it was. And then I really didn't start memorizing people's names until,
Yeah.
you know, certain styles came out. Well, you know, you had Stan Lee and everyone, uh, and you know, the big names you keep hearing in news and stuff, and that's usually how I started paying attention to that kind of stuff. Welcome, Froggo Funding, and welcome back, Pop Culture Mind.
Yeah.
Good to have you guys. How on earth did you learn to draw?
Yeah. Yeah, I started. I actually taught myself how to draw just by going through comics, and I think it was mostly. I think it was when Todd McFarlane started drawing Spider-Man. That's when I was really started getting interested in learning how to draw. So I just studied a lot of Todd McFarlane's work and a lot of Jim Lee's work on X-Men back when he was doing that, and that was kind of the beginning of it all. And then I guess I wasn't horrible at it, and so I just kept doing it. So, but I mean, I actually don't have any of my original drawings from that time frame, but I'm sure they probably weren't great. So, that was just, like I said, that was just basically almost copying line for line what other artists were doing. But I imagine that's how most artists kind of learn. It's just kind of have to just copy it as close as you can, and that's kind of how you train your brain to kind of see things that way. And also Mike Zeck, when he was doing the Craven's Last Hunt storyline, I was really studying almost every page of that whole thing. Everything he was doing there, and just trying to understand why it's like. I don't even know who inked it, but like the kind of studying all the ink shapes and studying all the cross hatching and just trying to figure out how they did it, and just do my best to try to mimic everything they were doing.
Gotcha.
And then I went into the Army, got out of the Army, I started going to college and just taking fine art classes in college.
Oh, you took some formal classes.
I think there's a time delay when we're talking here. So.
What was that?
Yeah, I took a couple art classes, and I did, and it was mostly drawing classes. And I took one. I took one oil painting class. I didn't really like oil painting that much, and then I took a photography class, which I actually really love photography, and I actually. Yeah, like in the comic, there's a couple areas because I set it in the town I used to live in Hillsborough, Illinois, and so I wanted to have some actual landmarks from the town in the comic. Because I thought, if nobody buys it, at least people who live in Hillsborough will buy it, and so at least I have some guaranteed sale away. But so I just kind of went around town and was photographing a few key locations, and I actually ended up putting them in the book and stuff. So
Nice. So, in those fine art classes, do you actually also get a chance to study? Oh crap! I'm blanking out. Do you study anatomy as part of it?
We took one semester I did. It was figure drawing and stuff where we had live models every night and stuff. So, and that was one of my favorite classes. Even though it's when you're in college and if you're paying live models to come pose nude for a college class, it's a lot easier to get guys to pose nude in front of a classroom full of people than it is to get girls. So like 90% of the time, it was a male model. Which I learned a lot about the anatomy and stuff. And I think the female model in the class was actually the teacher's daughter.
Oh my gosh, really?
So we were drawing. We do a lot of. We'd do all the drawings in charcoal and Comte crayon, and she'd put them up on the wall and stuff in the hallway for people to walk by and see. And so it was. So I was like, yeah, I'm drawing this lady's daughter naked, and she's hanging on the wall for everybody else to walk by and look at. Okay. That's not weird at all. So.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, figure drawing was one of my favorite classes in college. But like you said, the bulk majority of the models are male models.
Yeah, and it's I think I'm losing you again.
Can you hear me now? I know there seems to be a delay. That's why I turned off my camera to try and allow
Yeah.
for more
I
bandwidth.
can hear you. It's a bit broken up, but I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm trying to allow for more bandwidth by leaving my camera off. Oh, you know what? It might help to do this momentarily, at least.
Okay.
Let's see if we get any more bandwidth this way, where I'm not sharing a screen.
And it might be my phone too, because it's starting to get really warm. The phone's starting to get really hot too, so I'm not sure if it's just if maybe it's having trouble staying connected or something. But
Oh,
it
wow.
could just be on my end with my phone, or just my internet connection itself is not that great.
I could be wrong, but I think it's mainly your internet connection, since who is it you have again? Is it Hayes, or is that what it's, who's the company who's your ISP again?
It's possibly my, like I said, it's possibly my internet connection, and it could just be a bad. I mean, it's very sporadic, pretty much sometimes throughout the night. So,
Oh,
or
gotcha.
it could be one of my nephews is downloading another video game or something.
Yeah.
He did say he had a Godzilla game, like 120 updates I had to download. So maybe he might be doing that right now. That could be killing my bandwidth.
Oh dear. That's when you kick them off and say, "Hey, I'm busy. I've got a stream to go on."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It goes, hey, you're supposed to be asleep. It's 12 o'clock at night or 10:30 at night over here.
Yeah. You can update your Godzilla game later or tomorrow.
Yeah, it's
yeah. So,
yeah, exactly.
Are you planning? I noticed that at the top of your campaign, you just have that one static image. Do you plan on creating like an intro video? You know, showing off some of the artwork. Maybe.
I'll probably do that for the next. I probably should. I was planning on doing that for the second campaign, for the next one I do for the second issue, and on this one I would just wanted to get it up and done and like get it running. But I guess I could work on adding one to it. Maybe it'll help get some more traffic to or draw some more people. When I first posted the campaign, I didn't really think much about it, because I was just like, well, when I'm back in a campaign, I almost never watch that video. I just kind of go off, like it's somebody I know, or maybe I'll be watching a live stream of them. And so I just kind of didn't give too much thought to making a video for it, but maybe I really should.
I'm like the opposite of you in that.
I might go into iMovie or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even if you do an iMovie, I mean, I'm like the opposite of you in that regard, because I'm the type who actually is drawn to intro videos. I like an intro video that's, I guess, short but sweet, kind of like a mini elevator pitch that's 2 to 5 minutes long, that gives you a brief rundown on what the story is about, maybe how many pages are in the book, any special notes about the campaign, like particular perks or tier levels, and how much of the book is already completed so far, and possibly when you might have when you might be fulfilling the campaign. You know, some of the basics. Oh, did I mention how many pages are in the book?
All right.
That would be something I would add in a little intro video.
Okay.
And if you can find some kind of some kind of cool music that would
Like
go
some,
with that story.
yeah, it doesn't get a copyright.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look into that. Something. Like I said, I'll look into that. Yeah, maybe this week that's something I'll work on, and I'll try to get that up before the campaign ends. But or yeah, because I didn't even think about that. I just was like, well, I never watch a video, so I'm not sure why I need to bother. But it's probably something I probably should bother. So yeah, I'll look into that. I'll start thinking about where I'm putting something together.
And some campaigns, even if they don't have the intro video, they have several photos you can scroll through, if you will. Select from the top of the screen, so you have something more than just that one static image.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I'll look into that and getting some more. Yeah, because it was doing really good for a few days, especially when EVS mentioned it on his stream. But the last couple, it's been slowing down quite a bit, so I might need to add some more stuff there to kind of draw more attention to it.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I think I've been thinking about doing stretch goals, but then I kind of, my thought on the stretch, I may be wrong on this idea, but since I underpriced my main tier in my campaign, so like $5 plus $5 shipping, so it's like $10 there.
Ooh,
there's a chance that, yeah. And I think it's, so I'm kind of thinking I may not want to offer stretch goals, because then that's just more stuff that I have to offer the next campaign. Because the next campaign I'll have to charge more, because I charge way too little for this one. And I think it's fortunately I had those original art tiers that'll help offset that. But I said it's looking like most of the money I make on this campaign will go right towards printing and shipping, and there might not be that much left. So I'm gonna try to correct that in the next campaign. But then again, like I said, if I offer too many stretch goals on this campaign, there's just more stuff I have to do in the next campaign to basically see. So I'm kind of thinking maybe I should just leave this one as is, and just whatever it ends at, it ends there. And maybe if there's demand, I can just do another printing of the book with maybe a new cover or something, and find some way to offer it again. But I'm just worried that it's gonna, I don't know, that's gonna be hard to live up to this campaign if I just offer tons of stuff like prints and cards and bookmarks and all the other stuff that everybody else is offering, and only $5 for the book and $5 shipping, and it's just going to get to where it's where I have to just start digging into. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a challenge. I think you'll get a lot of interest for the very budget conscious, but you kind of screwed yourself by keeping it so low, because it's not really realistically factoring the cost of shipping. When it comes to domestic books, it's pretty common for shipping to be about $10 a book, and then, or $10 a Gemini mailer, and then international, you're often looking at about 20 to 25 a book. So this might hit you really hard shipping wise, especially if you get a lot of international backers interested.
Yeah, I've got a few. I've got a few international backers. I think it's mostly, majority of it's United States right now, but I've got a few, especially I've got a few going to Australia, which I know is going to be really painful. But I said I'll just. That's kind of why I'm not really worrying too much about stretch goals on this campaign, because it's. Like I said, I think it's. I want to make sure I can fulfill above all and get it actually done. Just have one campaign under my belt, and say, hey, I'm done with this one, and then the next one I'll just make all the corrections that are necessary. And I'll have to obviously raise the price of the book, because again, the next book I'll be drawing almost entirely from scratch. This one was something I had done for about 7 years, so it felt a little weird charging a huge amount of money for it.
Right, I hear you. Yeah. I mean, it shows that you're in funding status, and you're at 3,560 USD out of bulk, which equates to 118% of your flexible goal. So that's a good thing. Your list is fully funded, and therefore, Indiegogo should be giving your campaign extra promotional treatment. And you're already at 196 backers, which is pretty darn good for a first campaign on Indiegogo. We definitely want to try and get that up. So everybody, be sure and back this book. Is definitely a worthwhile project. Are you in your first 30 days of funding?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, in the first 30 days, and I'll debate. I'll debate if I want to continue for a second 30 days, I guess. And because if I'm close to having the book done, I might just go to the in-demand store after the 30 days are up. Because I plan to print more. Since I had 196 backers, I think I added it with because some people are buying tiers with 2 books. A couple people are buying the 10-book tier, and so I think it's somewhere over 250. I don't know the exact number. It's over 250 right now that I have to have printed. I want to add at least 100 on top of whatever that is, and then like round it up to the nearest 100, so I'll have plenty of extra copies, like I said, in case anything gets lost or damaged. And then I'll have ones to offer on the next campaign, saying, well, if you missed it, I have a few copies of this printing, and I'll just add that as a tier on the next campaign.
Now, are you also going to make sure that you have a certain number of copies for yourself and your family?
Yeah, I'll keep a few for like my parents and my nephews,
Cool.
and, like friends and stuff. And I'll keep a few for them, and yeah, that'll be like maybe 20 copies or so. And then I might for this first one, I might send it off, like try to get permission and find some like prominent YouTube reviewers and say, hey, if I mail you a copy of my book, would you consider reviewing it on your channel? And then maybe that'll help on the next campaign, or maybe not. But it'd be completely up to them if they want to review it or not.
I would highly recommend you go on more streams. I know you're kind of still getting your feet wet regarding it, but I think it would greatly help in promotion if you go on more streams. I definitely want to have you on again, but there are a number of places I can easily see you getting some more eyes on it, like Charlie's London, Mandy Summers, Shay the Red,
Okay.
Dan Fraga. Yeah, there's Rosetta Allen. Those are some more that I think would be able to give you some good promotion too. And you already got EVS's blessing, and you saw how that helped you get funded pretty early.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was like within 2 days it went up from $50 and 3 backers to being fully funded and over 150 backers. So it was it was pretty amazing. And I said I got on that one stream almost completely by accident, because I just like, well, let me see if this works, and I just hit it, and next thing I know, I'm on the stream. And then like I said, I had my AC running in the background, but I'll just have to make sure I turn that off. Because it was and I can barely hear anybody as well. So it's I'll try to get on too first.
I can hear you, and I can hear the fan in the background.
Okay.
It's not that bad, but I can still hear it in the background, and every now and then it almost sounds like you're in a car with the window rolled down, with the sound of wind every now and then, like there, like just that moment.
No. Oh, like right now? Okay. How about right this minute? Does it sound?
Right
now, I'm just standing outside my the door.
Right this minute, it sounds perfect. Like
I'm actually out.
It sounds like
I'm actually outside right now.
Yeah, it sounds like you're outside where it's nice and quiet.
Yeah, and it's a lot cooler out here than it is inside the house. So maybe I'll just hang out here.
Yeah, and there's less lag too.
Okay.
Probably
maybe that's the secret then. Just stand outside then.
That can help. that can help.
Yeah.
So there's less barriers between you and the internet
Mm-hmm.
in terms of
Yeah, that's true.
like a lot of houses, they have all that insulation. They sometimes got you know, substances in the walls or lead and garbage like that, and that can restrict the signal as well.
Oh, I got it. I got it. Yeah. I wonder if let me turn the camera. Yeah, you're just gonna see the sky if I turn the camera on. So yeah, but going on Ethan Van Sciver's live stream is the very first one. That was pretty nerve wracking too. So it's like going on the Tonight Show with your very first TV appearance. So
oh yeah, I bet that had to be a trip though. Like
yeah, it was crazy.
full of adrenaline and stuff.
And just not even sure if anybody could hear me at all. So, and I think they said they could hear me, and then I think as soon as they said that they could hear me, I think EVS's connection died, and then everything just went silent, and then and then John Malin just jumped in and started talking, just like kind of professional that he is. So, and then like I said, when I came back, he just like, hey, okay, yeah, it's like I'm gonna go ahead and let you go, and then I said, because he said there was some weird background noise, and I realized after he kicked me, it was the air conditioner.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, yeah. And I sent him an email the next morning. I was yeah, sorry about that. I didn't realize it was running. He was just like, yeah, no worries. So
yeah. So if you change your mind and do decide to do a stretch goal, I'm thinking you might consider doing one at either 5,000 or maybe 8,000. But
okay.
Something like either a variant cover that you draw, unless you can find someone willing to do one for cheap or something, or for exposure, or maybe consider some campaigns they do stickers, die cut stickers. It might be fun to do a sticker. There's what's that company's name? Sticker. Oh, I don't know it now. Well, there's a company that does stickers for a lot of CG people.
Okay.
Or
I thought about trading cards.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Trading cards. Like if you do even a single trading card and add that as a add that would be pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then if
I can print out. I can print out trading cards like if it's just one, I can do just a sheet full of 9 and just have them cut. So that's 9 trading cards right there. Or I was thinking about maybe doing 3 and just print out 3, like all a row of all 3 of them, and it would just be right. The idea I had was like 2 of them would be just panels from the comic, and then 1 would be an original drawing or something like that. Like I said, that's something I've been considering.
Yeah. And again, it could be a stretch goal. Another possibility is if you reach out to some of the smaller creators, they might be willing to do a trading card for you of a character in your book, and since they're still like an up and coming creator, it might be more affordable for your budget. If you wanted another talent to work with on your project, to give it another angle, a different perspective.
Yeah, that'd be if not for this campaign, definitely for the next one. That's one I kind of just wanted to cut my teeth on this one, and then the next one I was planning just to go all out, and that's kind of the goal. Like I said, I want to make sure I can get this one fulfilled 100%, and just say, And like I said, I'll still consider if I start getting closer to, I could probably set the trading card as like a 5,000 stretch goal, and then maybe do 3 trading cards at 750 or something, 3,500.
Yeah,
See how that does, because that'll be easy enough to print those out, and so
yeah,
well, not easy, but it won't be too expensive.
yeah. Because the it won't. It shouldn't add any more to the cost of shipping because you'll be throwing it in with the book, and
It will just
yeah.
be. Okay.
I guess you
Of
only
course,
have,
it'll just be the printing, but that's no.
yeah. And then if you put it in a plastic sleeve or something, unless you go super cheap and then just throw it in there loose, or
Yeah, which
or all right. So if your book is going to come in a comic bag with a backboard, you can put the card on the inside back side of the board, so that one side has a comic, the other side has a card. You can do that too.
yeah, and they're not rubbing.
Yep.
And they're not rubbing against each other and shipping
Yep.
and like doing all the ink transfer stuff. So that's a good idea.
Cool.
There's actually a local. Right, go ahead.
Oh, I was just
I
gonna.
was saying there's actually a local print shop here. So go ahead. Sorry.
Nice. Oh, I was gonna say you could alternatively do a bookmark. A lot of campaigns have bookmarks, so that would probably be easy enough for you to do.
It's something. Yeah, and that could be. Yeah, the bookmark could be, even if it's just like a panel from the comic that's kind of pulled off on its own and turned into something.
Yep.
And that might be something to think about too. So,
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely some cool stuff to consider.
Yeah, I mean, keeping budget in mind, since you're already doing all the work yourself anyway, even if you did your own variant cover, then that would be another book. And instead of charging $5, you could maybe charge 10 or something. So you get closer to being able to cover your costs.
Yeah, that's kind of why I added the more of those original art tiers.
Yeah.
So and I kind of hope that those would help increase the what do you call it, the amount of money that I have to work with, and at the same time gives somebody something pretty cool. So I got to get the cover done so I can. I don't think anybody's going to buy that cover tier without actually seeing the cover. So that's probably going to be my number one goal for this upcoming week. Yeah,
absolutely. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So
let's see here.
And that'll be
original cover art.
Since things are slowing down at the moment on the.
Do you anticipate adding some more original art pages?
Yeah, I can, because I have quite a few, but not all of them are developed enough. So I might have to go back in and kind of like spruce the pencils up a bit and make them darker so that they're easier to see. Because it's a lot of stuff is like really just lightly sketched in. But the one the big reveal shot of the robot, that I have that drawn out. But like I said, I might need to go in, because that drawing is about, when did I draw it? I think I drew that in 2011, 2012, when I first started like seriously trying to get the book finished. And so that drawing itself is almost 10 years old. So I think I need to go in and try to darken up the pencils a bit. But other than that, there's a few, but like I said, with my workflow, when I was getting kind of at crunch time with the book, and I was just drawing a panel here on one sheet of paper, another panel on another sheet of paper, and it was just kind of all scattered everywhere. Or I would do one page that was just a bunch of different panels from a bunch of different pages, and I would just scan that in and just place everything where it needed to be, and kind of like almost doing why I started like doing pickups for a movie film, or from filming a movie. just sometimes got to go through and film a bunch of extra random scenes and just throw them in where they're needed. So, and that's, I said, so it's because of that, I don't have a whole lot of completed pages, but as I'm adding pages to the story, I'm thinking about making sure that they're like those 3 that I have on there now. I just completed those a couple days ago, and I wanted for the intent of having them there for people to actually buy if they wanted them. So, and I'll try to maybe do a couple more before the campaign's over.
Right. That's pretty cool. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry.
All right. Cool. It looks
Yeah.
like you. Did you turn on your camera? Because it looks like I might have seen stars in the sky.
Oh yeah, my camera's on now just because it's just basically I'm holding it up to the sky.
Oh, all right, right on.
I figure it's better than just an empty icon. I'm just kind of holding the phone in my hand.
Oh, gotcha.
I tend to pace when I'm thinking and talking, so I'm kind of walking around.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
might get a shot of the house every once in a while.
I can be that way sometimes too. So the very first perk you have is the comic book itself, the physical copy, and that's $5 USD. And then you've got a comic plus a comic, which is Stump #1 Remastered, 2 copies of it for 10. Then you've got a bundle of 10 comics for 50. Yep. So Stump #1 Remastered times 10 for $50. And then you start getting into original art. So Comic Plus original art page C1. How does this numbering system work? Page C1, for example. Is that chapter 1?
Oh, when I was no, it's kind of the way I organized the pages. When I was doing the first issue, I was doing what I call the A story, which was the main Stump story, and then there was the B story, which was the whole robot story or the blinker story, and then the C is the what I call the cutaway stories, in which, like, if I need to like cut away to a flashback, which is what those 3 pages are, a flashback, and so anything that kind of cuts away to a different area or to a different point in time, I just label those as C pages. And and those can be inserted anywhere that I need to, like, give an indication of a passage of time. And I think there was one area in the first printing of the book where 12 hours were supposed to pass between 2 pages, but there was no indication that much time had passed. And so I kind of felt, well, maybe I should have had a scene, like some kind of flashback scene or some kind of cutaway to a different area. And this way, when you cut back to Stump, it would feel like some time had actually passed. But with the way the book was originally printed, it just felt like a few minutes later, even though it was supposed to be like 12 hours later. So that's what I started adding in those the C story stuff in. So that's just my way of organizing it. So when I put the story, I put the story together. So.
Okay. Every time it references original art pages, is this solely pencils, or is it also pencils plus inks?
It'll be solely pencils.
All right.
So, because I do all the inking and I do all the inking digitally.
Oh, right. Okay. And you said when it comes to pencils, you're using was it 7mm or 0.07 or 0.7?
The
standard
0.7 lead. Yep. So it's just like the traditional pencil line, which is what I've always kind of liked. And in some instances, I'll like the combination of the inks and the pencils together. So I'll just leave them. I'll leave the pencils in, and just because I kind of like that when it just adds a bit of extra depth to the drawing itself. If you can just leave the pencils in there, and so sometimes I'll leave them in, but not all the time.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cool looking, from what I can tell. I mean, there isn't really a zoom option on these kinds of things. I mean, you could.
Yeah, it didn't have. It took. Yeah. Yeah, the recommend when Indiegogo was having me add the photos, it said the recommended size is like 606C by 440 pixels, and I just thought, well, that's just the recommended size. It can be a little bigger. It's like, no, it's what they should have said is anything other than 660 by 440 pixels is not going to load up. So I have like 5 versions of those before I realized it had to be exactly what they told you it was, or else they just wouldn't accept it. So,
Oh my god!
and it kind of has to lay down on its side. Yeah, so it's that was probably the most frustrating part when I was starting to put the campaign together. It's like why aren't these pictures loading? So, but like I said, I eventually just figured it out. I had to lay the pages on their side to get so you could actually see the whole page on there. So and it'll be the same with the cover when I get that done.
Yeah, so the cutaway looks like a giant monster that has a huge mouth.
Yeah, and that was just this could be the first, at least, I think it'll be the first flashback sequence, which is going to lead into all the events that led up to Stump's first appearance on the in the comic. So that'll just be cut to back and forth in little flashbacks because it was kind of a long story, and it was like originally like 12 pages of story all by itself, and I kept cutting it down until it just ended up being these like 3 gigantic paragraphs in the first printing of the book. So I was like, well, let me just cut away to it, show a little bit here and there, then cut back, and then cut away, show a little bit more, and just kind of allow the readers to piece it together over time. So because it'll all lead into a big like a major threat that will be what I call arriving later on in the story, like a few issues into the story. So it'll actually have a purpose and all that.
Sweet. How many? All right, so that's the cutaway. Plus original comic plus original art page C2, which is cutaway 2. That's 250. And then we've got comic plus original art page cutaway 3. That's 250. Looks like they're meeting some other aliens here.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we've got the comic plus.
Yeah, and that.
Oh, go ahead.
I would say the on that page 3, the cutaway 3 page is I started drawing it, and then I think I was working on another drawing, so I flipped it over and I started drawing something else on the back, completely unrelated to the Stump comic. So basically, that page has a free bonus drawing on the backside, but it's not related to the comic, so I figure it'll just be a surprise to whoever gets it.
Nice. And then we've got
the tier, I think, that sold out.
Go ahead.
I was saying the tier that sold out almost right away was the one where I offered the remastered comic with a copy of the first black and white printing. So I think I had put 40 of those up, and I think after EVS mentioned on the stream, those were gone almost immediately. So it was like within a few. Yeah, it was like within 2 days, they were pretty much all gone. So
yeah, remastered comic plus a first print. And then, all right, so that's 40 copies. And let's see here. All right, good deal. This art. Cool stuff. Yes. And then let's see, a couple comic plus original art pages have sold out. Both B storyline 5 and B storyline 7.
Yeah, and there was a B6, but that I sold it to a friend of mine back in 2013. So he just said, "Hey, I want to help you with your book." So so it's like yeah, well, you can buy an original art page if you want. So he's like, yeah, sure. So he bought that one. So,
Oh my gosh, how cool!
and it's just the yeah. And when you read the story, it's just the page that comes between those two. So it'll be the,
Oh, all
and I
right.
think it's actually on the campaign page. So yeah.
See the one where it's reaching out. So it's between that one. So this one where he gets slammed. So let me see something here. If this is the case, if I can make it out. Oh, that's where he does a punch with his left hand. Oh yeah, all right. Yeah, all
Yeah,
right.
so it's the one where he's just yeah.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one he ended up buying.
All right. Good deal. Sweet.
Yeah, so like I said, if I get a few, I'll try to work on a few more. Try to get some more pages maybe up there, like I said, the original art pages, and I'll like. But first, I want to get the cover done. That'll be, like I said, my main goal for this upcoming week, and just so I can have something there for people to see if they want to consider buying it.
Yeah, and
I didn't.
Go ahead.
I was saying I didn't really know what price to set, so I just took like whatever I saw other campaigns, whatever they charged for the cover, and I just divided it by 4, and that's what I figure. I'll just charge that because I just figure it's so I'm an unknown, so it's I probably shouldn't be charging like the super high rates that everybody else is. So for now, and then maybe as time goes on, the prices will go up, but for now, people can get a bargain, I guess.
Well, I mean, eventually you'll definitely need to make sure you have enough to cover things like shipping, uh, and the packaging and stuff like that. So you don't want to shortchange yourself to the point at which the shipping kills you, and you end up with nothing left over. So, yeah, some campaigns intentionally start off really small, knowing that they're going to get a loss initially, but at the same time thinking long term, figuring that you're starting to make a name for yourself. Your name's getting around. You're promoting the book. So once they see you fulfill this first campaign, then they'll be even more excited about your next campaign.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thinking on the whole thing right now. It's even if I lose money on this one, I'll still fulfill it, and then the next campaign I'll hopefully maybe just progressively get more profitable with each successive campaign. At least that's the goal anyway.
Yep. Awesome. Now let me check something here. That. Sweet. What do you envision well, I know you have it at least planned out through a good 2 books. How long have you envisioned the Stump saga being? Like how many books ultimately, if you see it through to fruition and stuff?
Well, I kind of designed it to where it would be never ending, basically, like how, like I said, they've introduced Spider-Man in the 60s, and he's just basically the vehicle to tell stories, so they just can continue to tell stories with Spider-Man forever. And that's kind of what I hope to do with Stump.
Oh, cool.
There's stuff that I have coming later, like that will be, I have like planned if I ever get to like an issue 12, I have something planned for that. If I get to an issue 20, and then I have plans for that. But like for the most part, I just wanted to have basically a vehicle to just tell whatever stories I want to tell, and just kind of have fun with it.
Nice.
So it's not designed to be a limited series, but so we'll see. Like I said, as long as it stays successful, then I'll keep making them.
Very cool. Very cool. And you said that you're not yet sure whether you'll go another 30 days of funding before going to in demand, right? You're still thinking it over?
Yeah, I haven't just. Yeah, and I think usually, yeah, I'll make that decision kind of as we get closer, and we'll see. Because if the funding just kind of dies off like the next, and I get like just a little trickle here and there, but I'm kind of hoping to, if I'll go on more streams and start promoting it more and kind of start picking up. But it's yeah, for right now, my plan is to go through this first 30 days and then go to an in-demand store, but then I'll. But if necessary, I can extend it another 30 days afterward.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a good idea to extend it but for the reason of trying to get more funding to help compensate you for the hit you're taking on your shipping. And there's also this thing where, all right, so you got like a jump in promotion from Indiegogo because you're listed as fully funded. When you get close to the end of the first 30 days, then there tends to be another spike in business because, around that time, there's a sense of missing out. And you want your potential customer base to take advantage of, back in your campaign before it closes. And if you wanted to, you could do like a closing celebration, if you will, and then that might lead to a spike in sales, and then it'll go to another 30 days of funding, as an example, and then you hold another, closing stream celebration, and then you experience another spike in business, and then you'll be in demand, and so it might give you a couple good jolts to the campaign on top of any other additions you make, like say you do a $5,000 stretch goal or what have you, or add a variant cover, or add a bookmark, or add a 1 to 3 trading cards. Trading cards are quite popular. Yeah, so it might behoove you to consider doing something like that, as other campaigns have done with varying success or varying degrees of success.
Yeah, that's definitely something to think about. It's my only fear is that it growing out of control to where I can't handle it, but I'm thinking it'll be, as long as I have the book done, it's really just a matter of getting the proofs and finding the right printer, and then just start, because I'll just be mailing out the books myself, and so I just have to start ordering supplies and everything. So I think it'll be kind of like when your boy Zach was fulfilling that first Iron Sights campaign. So he was just basically every live stream, he's like, "Hey, I just mailed out 150 more copies of the book and stuff." So it's and so I think I'd be end up doing that. My phone is dropping in power really fast here, so I got to go back inside and plug it back in.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I had to step out. Yeah,
that's true. I forgot about that part.
I'm down. I'm down to about 17% at the moment. So
I know.
I'm just gonna shut the fan off, and it should be all right. Okay. Yeah, because I just got a notice on the phone saying it's going into low battery mode. So
yeah, at least you haven't gotten that warning where if the phone is at risk of overheating, then it says the phone will shut down due to risk of overheating.
Yeah.
Yeah, feel free to turn it on later. I've had that happen to my
Yeah,
phone several times on hot days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's pretty warm, but I'm trying to not hold it in my hand so much, keep it from heating up too badly. I'm gonna turn the camera off since it's just my ceiling you're looking at.
Yeah, so those are a couple of things to consider in terms of ways to pump up the promotion, and as you were probably planning on doing anyway, the Indiegogo campaign page has an updates tab. So anytime you have any sort of updates, like let's say you're announcing that you've completed the cover art, and you could post an update saying, "We got the cover art completed. Check it out. What do you think? Isn't it cool?" All that good stuff. And that can get the people excited about the original cover art tier.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be something to definitely do, because I was wondering if I wanted to post my first update, and I was like, well, I don't want to just put a bunch of little tiny updates. So just wait till something substantial. And so I think, when the cover is out, it'll definitely be a reason. And maybe at the 15-day mark, and I'll make an update there. I don't know. I'm not. Then as we get closer to the end of the campaign. So, and like I said, if I add a stretch goal, obviously I'll have to do an update for that too.
Yeah, for sure. Backers like updates. They like to be kept apprised of what the heck is going on, and how far along you are. I mean, even if it's something like, I just completed another 10 pages of inks, or I've got the rest of the story for book 2 done. But, well, actually, I don't know if you really want to advertise that when you're focusing on promoting book 1. I was just checking out your comment section, and a lot of them has to do with getting the bump from EVS's channel. Oh, and on the Lucent Comics stream, Michael Bancroft.
Oh yeah,
gave you some props. Yeah, funded in 3 days. Dang, that's good.
Yeah, so that was pretty much all EVS's stream. The Michael Bancroft stream. So that was like I said, I was struggling with first. Well, I learned one lesson from this campaign is that having your friends and family like your artwork on Facebook doesn't mean they're going to actually back your books when you post them. So I'll have to keep that in mind.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
And I'll overprint anyway. So I'll say, hey, if you want a book, I've got one printed. If you still want to buy one, and most of the time they will. And I think that's how it worked for the when I first printed the book. I just printed out a bunch of copies, and I just said, hey, I got this if you want to buy a copy, and they did. So maybe most of them just assume that's what I'm doing this time around too. So
yeah, good point. Good point. Yeah. So
generally, I think I've got a few backers from my Tumblr page and DeviantArt page, but it's not. Yeah, so not a huge. I'm not sure if it's been a huge amount, but it's been a few people, and they've been ones who were following the work for a few years, and I'll go back into the comments section. It's 7 years ago. There's one guy who's like, "Okay, so when are we gonna see more of Stump and stuff?" So it's
nice.
It's been so hopefully that guy backed this new book, and he likes it. So.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta let people know on your other platforms that you've got this Indiegogo campaign going. If you haven't already notified them. I
put posts. I was just saying I put posts on all my whatever social media I have and stuff. So.
Oh, good. That brings something up. I don't know if you want to do it, but some creators they changed their screen name or description name on Twitter to reflect, their name
Mhm.
and the name of their book.
Okay.
Like yours might say, for example, Nathan Rosario is uh, is making Stump #1 on Indiegogo, something like that. As opposed to however your name is displayed on. Let me see. I should have it here.
I think it's just my name on there.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm kind of embarrassed to even mention it, but I forgot what the name of your book was. So I had to look it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me see if I can find an example here. All right. So William Hazel is doing Ailsa Dark. So it says William Hazel dash Ailsa Dark and the Teddy Bogle Man. Let's see. And then from CGUK, another Twitter name is Mary Boys is available on in demand. And then we've got Doc Hogs Tilt dash now shipping.
I get it. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Now Mike Murphy does it a little different. I think it's in. Let me see if it's in part of his thing. Merch. All right. So in his Twitter description, in his Twitter profile, he has his current IGG listed, which is Deepwell.
Mm-hmm.
But even though it has his real name, Mike Murphy, listed for his Twitter name, his avatar is actually one of his characters from Deepwell. So that's another way to do it,
Okay. Yeah. I can do that mess. I guess I could put Nathan Rosario's Stump #1 is live or something like that, or just
or his
Nathan
funding,
Rosario's writing Stump #1,
or his funding on Indiegogo. Then you've got one that says Unhinged dash Absolute now on Indiegogo.
Cool.
Michael Beacon, and then some icons. #7 Legions. So you get the idea.
Cool. Yeah, I'll look into that. As with all my social media accounts I have, I think Twitter is the one I get the least activity from. So I guess I never really just even considered it. But I think it's Tumblr and DeviantArt are where I get probably the most, and of course Facebook. But
really,
like I said, Facebook is mostly just friends and family. Yeah,
right.
That's like I said, mostly just friends, family, co-workers, and stuff like that. So, but again, most of them weren't really back in the book. So,
yeah, I mean,
I'll go through and start looking around at some of that.
Yeah, I don't see. Maybe it's just me, but I don't see Facebook being much of a promotional model for comic books. When it comes to ComicsGate related stuff, I see a lot of promotion on Twitter, and that's why.
Yeah, that's what I.
Go ahead.
That's kind of the main reason I have a Twitter account is just because of ComicsGate stuff and I like I said, DeviantArt, that was the first one I started posting not Deviant, Elfwood was actually the first where I started posting my artwork, but Elfwood I don't think even exists anymore. But then in DeviantArt, and then somebody said, well, you should go on Tumblr and post your work there, so I did that, and then eventually I went on to Twitter, even though I don't use Twitter nearly that much at all. But yeah, Facebook is mostly just for, like I said, friends and family. And like if I have if my brother's deployed to Afghanistan, I can stay in touch with them through Facebook. But for the most part, that's kind of the only reason I keep it. So
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, I think that would help for visibility and branding as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Are you really active on DeviantArt?
It's not really. I have been since this campaign started because I try to put updates, but it's not like I do daily updates. I just I'll go. I started the account back in 2009, and it's just sometimes I'll post a bunch of stuff, and then I'll probably go months or sometimes even a year or two without posting anything. But like I said,
Oh,
since I started this campaign, I've been trying to post more stuff on there just to keep people informed that I have a campaign going. But for the most part, it's yeah, I don't do. I think I started moving on towards Tumblr, but I don't really like Tumblr as much. And that's just I got a few followers on there, but for the most part, I don't really care for it as much as I just like the more traditional kind of gallery style of DeviantArt, and which was kind of what Elfwood was like before they went under. So, but
yeah.
Tumblr is just kind of I don't know.
I think I created a Tumblr account a long time ago, but I don't use it.
Mhm.
So refresh my memory. Is DeviantArt like actually an app, or is it like a portion of the web that's focused on a hashtag called DeviantArt, and everyone kind of just
I
shares
think
stuff
it's
to that hashtag, or what exactly?
I think it is. I think it's actually. It's just an actual website, and you sign up for an account. You just post your work, and you have a gallery page. I think you get journals and stuff like that too. It's kind of almost like I guess it's most similar like Facebook and what like MySpace used to be. So you just get your own little page, you post your stuff on that, and then people follow you on your page, and you get
Oh,
notifications. So it's kind of a little more old-fashioned design. So yeah.
okay, gotcha. All right. Hmm. Yeah, because so
Yeah, and that's yeah,
on DeviantArt, is there like a list of
go ahead.
count of followers, so you know how many people are like watching your work?
Yeah, they do. They'll tell you how many followers you have, and and I think there is actually a ComicsGate present on DeviantArt because I just had somebody requested me to add me to a ComicsGate fans group on the site. So I'm not sure how big it is, and I know a few of the other ComicsGate artists are actually have DeviantArt pages, but I'm not sure how active they are. Like Canyon White, he has an account on there.
Oh,
I think let's see how many followers. I've got 2,500 watchers on DeviantArt. So
whoa.
2.5K it says.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Like I
that's
said, I've
pretty.
been on there about a little over 10 years. So
All right, so you do have a
yeah,
following there. All right.
yeah,
Yeah, I noticed on
yeah,
Twitter you've got
yeah.
200 followers. Uh, but I
Yeah, and that's like I kind of neglect Twitter.
yeah, it's kind of challenging having to keep track of so many social media presences.
Shut this down now.
But I think that it would benefit you to be a little more active on Twitter. That's just me, because I think that there's a lot of CG
Yeah,
book
yeah.
promotion through Twitter, that and YouTube. Do you have a?
Hmm.
I might have
Yeah, I
asked.
think that'll be. Yeah, I have a YouTube page, but I don't. I had an account, but I don't really use it that much. I had like 3 videos on there. I deleted them not too long ago just because they were. Well, one was doing fairly well. It was actually a fake Star Wars trailer that I made and
Oh,
stuff, and then there was a couple other that were just projects that I had for. Yeah, I was taking a video editing class in college, and we were supposed to make a movie trailer. And so I just basically cut a bunch of footage from Return of the Jedi together to make it look like Luke turns to the dark side in the movie. and stuff. And so I just put it up there. I call it the Evil Luke trailer. And so, yeah, I think it had like maybe 70,000 views or something like that. And that was the only video on there of mine that had any kind of real traction to it. But of course, I used music from the soundtrack, so Lucasfilm immediately claimed it. So it's any money that I might have made from it, it just went straight to Lucasfilm.
Oh,
which
man.
is fine. I mean, I made it as a college project, and I got an A on the. Yeah, I got an A on it, so I'm not worried.
Yeah.
I still have the file, so maybe I'll re-upload it.
Yeah, I definitely should.
Maybe I'll re-upload it.
If you can possibly find like a knockoff version of the music done by someone else that's different enough that I don't know, maybe you could match that up with your trailer instead of the original, and hopefully bypass that copyright claim.
It was actually it was actually a unique piece of music from the soundtrack that only existed in the it was a music that played when like the very like kind of the climax of Luke and Vader fighting their lightsaber battle and stuff. It was the music for that part, so it's fairly unique for that part of the movie, and the whole trailer is basically a cut to the music. So I guess if I found a new piece of music, I have to recut the whole thing. But
Right.
it's like I said, it's something that maybe it was just burned off a VHS copy of the movie, so it's maybe someday I'll just recut the whole thing together and using a higher quality video.
That would be pretty popular with the Phantom Menace, I would think.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think. And the other video was I mentioned I sculpted Blinker, the robot, as a 3D model in when I was studying 3D animation in college, and I actually made an animation with them. So maybe I'll have to upload that.
Oh man, that would be cool. That would be cool. So
I just have to find the video. Yeah.
did you do anything more with that 3D animation class? I mean, did you like render the character fully and color it and everything and have it do stuff?
Yeah, it was fully rendered, and I had I had to rig it, I animated it, and did all the rendering. And it was probably 6 months of work just to make this little like a minute and 20 seconds. It was just barely over a minute long of video. And we had a guy come over and teach the class when we first started the 3D animation stuff, and he was his name was Eric Hansen. He'd worked on like big movies like Fifth Element and The Day After Tomorrow and stuff like that. And he actually left us some resources, so he gave us like this environment that he had made and a HDRI lighting rig, and so I just kind of used those to create the animation and stuff. So it's
Well, I wonder if that animated short that
it turned out pretty nice. So I computer too, but it's
I wonder if that can be incorporated into an intro movie, you know? As promotion for this book.
Probably could. I mean, it's pretty much the exact same design, but it's the problem is the music got a copyright claim because I just pulled it off a CD. It was like a little techno music, but so I'd have to replace the sound. So it's I said everything on there was just done as a college project for school, so I wasn't concerned about copyright at the time.
Right.
Yeah, I'll have to look around and see if I know I have those files somewhere, but yeah. But when after I got out of I graduated college, and then almost immediately I got a job working for the UFC fighter Matt Hughes, and moved over to Illinois, running his website and doing a bunch of other stuff. And so I kind of never really followed up on the 3D animation stuff. So,
cool deal.
Yeah, so it's I don't know. I'll look around. I'm sure. So actually, I do have it on my computer. I just got to make sure I have a good quality version.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it would be neat to be able to incorporate it as part of like a little intro movie. That might be neat to see him in action, since you have a little animated clip
Mhm.
that you created. I don't know if you've explored it much, but YouTube Studio has an audio library that's full of royalty-free music. Um, you might be able to find something that works, but
Okay.
I mean, it's one of the avenues I'm trying to explore because I've been hit with copyright claims more than once and on music, and
Mhm.
one of them was even Christmas songs, Christmas music. Um, and so
Oh wow.
I'm trying to explore YouTube studio audio tracks, but so far nothing's really grabbed me. But there are different genres, and maybe you can find something cool that fits the style and the feel of
Yeah.
your book.
Yeah. Because what I used was just like it was just a generic. I bought a CD full of techno music, and I just dragged a song off of there. I was actually kind of surprised. It was so obscure. I'm surprised anybody claimed it. And I'm sure I could just replace that music, and it wouldn't be any problem.
Yeah.
That's well. I'll probably go ahead. I'll have to re-upload that stuff to my YouTube channel. I don't know. Let me see. I can open this with something. I don't think I tried a super cheap method of trying to play it on my computer and then switching to the. Let me see here. I don't know if you can see it. Just flip the camera around. I don't think you can see it though.
Oh wow.
Probably not.
I saw part of.
It comes back to me. So
Was that
flip my?
all right?
Hold on.
Yeah, I don't know if you can share.
Let me try to get it back to the beginning. No, not from where I'm at. I don't think. I'll just upload it back on my YouTube channel. So, I think when they were talking about all that stuff with remember about the end of last year when everybody was panicking about having their videos being seen as children's content and then being fined or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I'll just make it easy. I'll just delete all my videos, and then but I can re-upload them. Hopefully now that it'll probably upload them at a better quality than what I had before. So.
Oh, I see. Well, I mean, you didn't necessarily have to delete them. You could have moved them to private or unlisted, and that would have left them in your studio.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could have re-enabled them whenever you wanted to. Change it back to public. So, but yeah, what your plan would work too. Yeah. What about says, congrats on Stump.
Yeah.
Matanui says, what's going on? I was reading Spawn. And I've been here the whole time. I just have very little to say. All right. Okie doke. All right.
Yeah, it's me on a lot of live streams where I'll just be working and listening in the background.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm trying to multitask when I'm listening to other streams. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so looks like a good project. I'm glad to see that you're funded. I hope we get you further funded. Get that boosted up there to help you counter the inevitable high cost of shipping. And I hope to see some updates from you as soon as you have them available and updated to your page too. That'll be cool. I wanted to thank you so much, Nathan, for being on the channel. Would you please share?
Thank you.
Would you share with everyone in the audience how they can find you on social media?
On my DeviantArt page is just NM Rosario, just by first three initials, and then Rosario. And there's actually another Nathan Rosario on DeviantArt, but you'll know you have the right one because you'll see all the Stump artwork on there. And it's the same the same username on Tumblr is NM Rosario and stuff. And most of the art has been there long enough. You could probably just type my name in and Stump, and it'll show up on a search, on a Google search as well and stuff. And like I said, I have the DeviantArt page and the Tumblr page, and Twitter is it? I think it's NM Rosario also, or Nathan Rosario, but I'll probably be changing that, like what you were saying earlier. But,
Well, I mean,
and then the Facebook page is just the same as my name.
well,
Mm-hmm.
the @ would remain the same. It's which is at NM Rosario. It's just the description, if you will.
Okay.
You can actually modify that without any problem.
Okay, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now it says Nathan Rosario.
Okay. And I just use NM Rosario across for most everything, just because I figure it's just easier to stay consistent and stuff. And like I said, there is another Nathan Rosario out there, but he does more fantasy related stuff. So, and that's something I learned after I started posting on social media. So I didn't know I kind of thought my name was fairly unique until then. So.
Yeah, I found someone who was doing doing like, I don't know, fan art, if you will, of things from the old books like Wizards.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that might have been your DeviantArt.
Yeah.
But
it's like I said, mine will have the Stump artwork on there and a few other. And it has a lot of Beast from the X-Men has a lot of Beast fan art on there, because that's probably one of my favorite characters. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And just a few other random things. So yeah.
Cool.
So,
all right.
I've been a big fan of Beast. So yeah.
Okay. Right on. Let's see here. And all right, cool. And then everybody backed the campaign. It's Stump #1. It's in funding right now. Stump #1 comic book remastered. And so far it's 118% of the $3,000 flexible goal, but we want to get it as high as we possibly can to make sure this is an amazing success. You can reach me at, welcome Gothic Arch. Thanks for coming. You can reach me on Twitter at WyzGyz Tweets, on Twitch under WyzGyz Twitches, and under YouTube under WyzGyz Entertainment. And are you going between rooms now? Hello?
Oh, I went back outside, so I thought it was maybe be a little better. But.
Okay. All right. No, you were fine. I was just telling.
Just because it's yeah, my phone was getting kind of hot.
Oh. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So I was just telling everyone how I can be reached on social media. On YouTube, WyzGyz Entertainment. Channel you're at now. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I come out with new streams as often as I can. I probably should create some more videos, but I so thoroughly enjoy doing streams more because it seems like it's easier and faster for me. Sound like there was some wind blowing again.
Wind just started as soon as I step outside. Yeah, so as soon as I step outside, the wind starts blowing.
Okay.
That's fine.
That's what happened. All right. Yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe. Mark the bell for notifications, and make sure you select all notifications so you never miss a video. Thanks everyone for joining us in the audience, and thanks once again to our special guest, Nathan Rosario.
Thank you.
And we will close this out. We're going to end the broadcast.